campground. Menindee Plains, I'll give you. So there's your back in Bourke Will. We've arrived at the RFDS, so we're going to have a look around there. So the Royal Flying Doctors, an institution in Australia, as most of us know. There's a couple of aircraft out on the tarmac here. Give a look at them without the fence in the way. And there's one of their hangars. So we'll go for a look. I don't know what I can film in here, so it's the same kind of deal. We will show you what we can. If I can't film, well, you'll have to come out and have a look. If I do film some, we will see it shortly. Well, we did get to go for a guided tour inside. We watched a video and a few other bits and pieces, but it wasn't practical to film inside. These aircraft shots are in the hangar where they take you down and give you a proper close look at them. We're very lucky to have a functioning aircraft in the hangar on that day as well, so we got to see up close and personal the current variant, plus some older ones. Anyway, it was worthwhile. Get out there and have a look for yourself and see exactly how the Flying Doctors work. Make a donation, because we really need that service for us remote travellers. Well, good morning. It's day 7. We just had 2 nights at Bourke Will, and today we're moving on to go and rejoin the Darling River Run. Now, if we wanted to do it properly or follow it in its entirety, we would have gone back to Wilcannia and turned right and gone down the dirt, but that seems a bit pointless when there's a road from Bourke Will to Menindee Lakes. So we've chosen to not do that stretch of the Darling River Run. And realistically, it's more of what we were doing prior to getting to Wilcannia. So more station tracks. Yes, it's alongside the river, that's about it. So although we're not doing the thing in like a purist fashion by following it down as close as practical, we are heading down to the next major part of the Darling River Run, which is Menindee. So we're on the bitumen for this section, and we'll get down there and camp. It's only about 100 k's from Bourke Will or something like that, so it's pretty cruisy sort of a day. Anyway, unless there's anything to show you between here and there, we'll see when we get down to Menindee Lakes Region. Okay, sorry about squinting. I'm just trying to get myself where the sun's not going to mess me up. Anyway, haven't quite made it to Menindee Lakes yet, but we sort of have. We're at Lake Pamamaru at the inlet regulator. So this is one of the weirs. Get a load of this water flowing through here. And I'm not 100% sure. There's a few keep out signs and things. Whether you're meant to get out there on the weir wall. So if I'll do the right thing, I'll stay off it. So there's your water flow. Now these lakes have not had this kind of water in them for an extremely long time. So I'm going to head further in towards Menindee. I'll give you a look at that. Kaz and I are still in the process of looking for a campground. There's lots of people camped along the edges of this lake. We haven't found our spot yet, so we're going to keep looking. It's a massive amount of water, absolutely huge. So it's what you like to see out of these drought-stricken areas. Lots of water in their lake systems. Well, these lakes all form part of Broken Hill's water supply. So I'm sure they're very pleased that there's so much water around. Alright, we're going to keep going back in towards Menindee and see what else we can find. About a kilometre from where I was showing you the other weir earlier, alongside the lake, it's what they call the main weir. It doesn't tell you a lot, but what it does show you here is the control of the water. You can see, when I get you over the fence, how high the water is on that side. But when you come over here, so much lower the water is here. This weir is doing its exact job of controlling the water flow out there. So that's pretty cool. Good to see how these things work. I still don't know if that's the main one for the town, but it's called the main weir. There's camping down there, which we may or may not come back to. We actually don't know where we're going to camp today yet. We're exploring. We may have passed it already, we may not have. We're not going to know until we drive around a bit more. But this is a campground, so you can camp there. So we'll have a look as we cruise around and work out what we want to see. We've made it into Menindee itself, the town. We'll probably wind up back at the weir wall for camping again, but we'll see how we go. It's a bit of information about Maiden's Hotel. But here we are at the next of our signs on the Darling River Run. So Menindee. All that is the same. So it all changes for just where you are at the time. Menindee was the first town down the Darling River. It sits amongst the overflow lakes forming the Menindee Water Storage Scheme. At maximum capacity, these lakes hold 3.5 times the water in Sydney Harbour and cover an area some 7.5 times greater. Home to a variety of water birds, the lakes and surrounding wetlands are an important breeding habitat. The lakes and river provide a great recreation spot for water skiing, sailing, safe swimming, good fishing and bird watching. The current population of the town is around 630 and the main local industries are horticulture and tourism. So The Bourke and Will's expedition camped at Menindee on their journey from Melbourne to the Gulf of Carpentaria arrived on the 14th of October 1860, crossed the Darling Kachiga station and set up their 34th camp since leaving Melbourne. Dissent within the party saw George Landell's, the deputy leader, resign. Bourke split the party heading north to Cooper's Creek, with half the men, store and animals. The others made camp at Pamaroo Creek, while in Menindee, Bourke stayed at the Maidens Hotel, then owned by Thomas Payne and known as Payne's Hotel. So there you go. There's your little bit of history as to the river. Now, I would assume if I walk down here somewhere, I might find the river. So it's all lovely to be at Menindee Lakes, because you know, Menindee Lakes being what it is Menindee Lakes. But we are doing the Darling River run, but I can't see the river just yet. So I'll find the river and go and show you that in due course. Can't be far away. Okay, well, it didn't take me long, and I found the river. I found the boat ramp. Literally all I did is I saw the sign that said boat ramp, so here we are. The river, of course, is up like it is everywhere, so I can't get quite out the edge here, but I will walk back across to a spot that I think will show it a little bit better. And there's a heritage sign here which I'll have a quick look at. I think Karen just said something about used to bring a punt across or something. No, in a second. Punt site. Makes sense. Before the construction of the Menindee Rail Road Bridge in 1927, the only means of crossing the Darling River was by punt. The original Menindee punt was installed in 1862 and was run on a commercial basis by a man named Turkey Creek Smith. Strange name. He lived on the riverbank adjacent to the pump. As sheep were regularly carried across the river on his punt, he kept a pet sheep to coax mobs of sheep onto the unfamiliar punt. 1982 was superseded by a new punt installed by the New South Wales Government adjacent to police barracks in Nowra Street. Passengers, goods, livestock were transported across the Darling River free of charge by the new government service. Fortunately, the original punt remained, as several weeks after commencing, the government punt suddenly overturned and sank and could not be reflated until river level subsided. There you go. So, interesting the things you read about these Darling River. And having a bit of a look, I can get out a bit more to the edge here. Still not as far as I'd like, but try and get you above the trees a bit. The river goes up that way, and of course it comes down through the trees down that way. I'm going to go and find the road bridge, because it's my belief that we might get a better look at the river at the road bridge. So bear with me and we'll see what we can find. This is a common sign on bridges that we've been across lately. I was going to make you look at me, but the sun's behind me. I just had to turn my head around because the 200 just took off, so Karen has gone somewhere. Perhaps she's going to drive past me, I don't know. Now, walking out onto the bridge that I did find for you, as I said I would. So I'm going to have a look at the river a little bit better than we were previously. This bridge has got a paved part we can walk out onto. We're not on the road, so that's nice. So here we are, coming out onto the bridge now, looking over the river. That's looking upstream. So we started at the top end of the river, at the Bourke River up there. And now we've made it down to nearly the bottom. Because if Menindee's the first town on the Darling, that means we're getting pretty close to the Murray. So I'll take you across the road in a second. There's one car in this town. So I'll walk you out and look you downstream as well. So that's downstream on a still quite flooded Darling River. So there you have it. I now think I know what Karen's been doing up there. I think she found a sign. She's parked the car near it. So we're getting close to the end of our Darling River run. I'd assume when we get to Wentworth tomorrow, well, that will be pretty well the end of it. So we'll take you out to back out the Menindee Lakes, find a camp, set up, and show you what we can around the edges of a lake or that kind of thing. Now, as you would have noticed on this trip already, there's not been a lot of driving video for me to show you, because realistically we're driving on pretty decent outback gravel roads that have been really good, and the scenery's been much the same most of the time. So it'd be silly to spend too much time showing you that. So it's just as easy to show you the places we've travelled to, and I hope you don't mind them. Alright, back to the truck, which is a lot further away than where I parked it, and we will take you with us for a bit more shortly. But while you're in Menindee, you can't do the tourist information centre that you see behind me. That's a handy little place, as they all are. So if you all the info you really need, I'll give you a quick look in here. Karen's getting all the info from the lovely lady on the counter.
Oh, it's just that we're going around the wheel already.
And it's got all the usual stuff. It's got museum things for you to look at, old typewriters and stuff. Who would have thought in my lifetime that Motorola phone would become a museum piece? I remember they were introduced. Oh dear. Makes you feel old. It's a lovely little info centre. As you know, quick views around these things. Come in and have a look for yourself when you're in the region. Always well worth it, and a wealth of information can be had. Well, we're going to head back out of the info centre now and go and look for camp for the evening. So if you're in Menindee, come and check out the Tourist Information Centre, speak to the friendly staff, and they will...
That's me.
That's her. They'll lead you in the right direction. Alright, we'll see you at camp. Well, we headed back out of Menindee, back to the weir, to go and try and find a place to camp. We thought we'd have a go down along the edge of the lake, but it seems like everybody else in Australia was planning to do the same thing. So as you'll see from this bit of footage, there's people camped everywhere. We did eventually wind up with a nice spot, although not on the lake's edge. We'll end up on the edge of the river, but you'll see that in a moment. So this place can get pretty busy, guys, so just be aware of that if you come out to the Menindee Lakes. Made it to Menindee Lakes there.
Yeah, we have. Look at us camping on the river.
Nice, eh? Cheers.
Cheers. Bye. Another decent spot.
Yeah, it's wound up alright, eh? Now this is where a lot of people will show you them putting the meat on the fire and all that stuff. Well, I don't really do cooking videos, so this will be the end of tonight. We will see you guys tomorrow. Well, we finally got the fire happening. We've had dinner. Adjusted the river in the background there. And I said earlier that'll do us for the night, but I wanted you to have a look at this. Cheers, guys. We will see you tomorrow. Well, we had a great night camp by the river there at Menindee. But that brings us to the end of this week's clip. A little bit shorter than the last couple, but you find a natural editing points. Anyway, next week you'll see us complete this trip down to Wentworth and probably wrap up the video, I think. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this trip and this series so far and this clip. If you did enjoy it, put a like on it. It really helps the channel. If you're new here, consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, click the notification bell. To the old hands, as always, thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch one of my clips. Just get out there, enjoy the bush. And from Steve and Kaz at Mud Ducks 4-Wheel Drive Touring, cheers, take care everybody, and we will see you next week. All the best, guys.